What's up, y'all? We're back for day 2 of our Bible study, day 25 of our 90-day challenge. But today we read, stayed in the book of Job. Kind of started off where we ended yesterday at chapter 7, and just read 3 chapters today, 7 through 9, just because 9 was a big chapter. There was a lot in there that I wanted to kind of break down before moving on. So I did a little guided study after I read 7 through 9 with this guy named Ant Harge. He was good. I haven't used him before or really checked his page out, but I think like for the rest of the book of Job, I'll probably stay with his little guided Bible study. I like to do like a guided Bible study too, just because I like to not only have like my perspective of what I'm reading, but like an outside perspective, because it also like every time I do that, like things get brought up that I just was like, oh, wasn't looking at it in that way, but now like I see. But yeah, so chapter 7 was Job just kind of talking about like he knows that that we're supposed to have hard days. He knows that like not every day is gonna be an easy day, and that we're gonna go through trials and tribulations, and he understands that. He's kind of questioning why he's being punished, and what he's trying to like plead to God kind of and say like, what have I done and what can I do to like make it right? He says right here, if I have sinned, what have I done to you? You who see everything we do. Why have you made me your target? Have I become a burden to you? So, something this guy Ant brought up was like good parents, they don't just punish you to punish you. You know, and that's why it seems like Job is confused during this, is because he's like, I don't know what I did, you know. He's like, if I've sinned, like what have I done? And you know, why are you punishing me for no reason, you know? And then his in chapter 8, his buddy Bildad the Shuhite replied, and he said pretty much like he said, when your children have sinned against him, he gave them over to the penalty of their sin. So he's saying that his children died because of their own sins. And which is kind of crazy because that's not even true. So he's pretty much telling him that's why your kids died. And he said, if you plead with God and you're pure and righteous, then he'll restore you back to your prosperous state, it says. And I like this quote right here. It's chapter 8, verse 7. It says, your beginnings will seem humble, so prosperous will your future be. I just like that because it's like, as long as you stay down and you trust in God and his plan, then like you will have a prosperous future. But you also need to be a blameless man. Like they explain that Job is a blameless man. I don't essentially think that means that he was has never sinned, because I think that's kind of a stretch. But I think they're just saying like overall, like he's a really good person, and like so he doesn't deserve this, but it's a test to him, and God is stripping him of everything, and he can either be mad about it, or he can look like Job does, like he's looking to God and digging deeper in his faith. He's like pleading with God throughout this book, that he's just kind of like, what have I done? Even in chapter 9, he says like he talks about how like he wants to like mediate with God, and there's nobody there to do that for him. And he knows that, like he says, though they wished to dispute with him, they could not answer him one time out of 1,000. So this is what Job said in chapter 9. He said, how can mere mortals prove their innocence before God? Though they wished to dispute with him, they could not answer him one time out of 1,000. So, well, like he wants to like plead his case with God and kind of ask him why he's like, explain that he doesn't feel that he deserves, this hardship that he's going through right now. But I think that's important that for us to remember, like when we're going through tough times, like we need to ask ourselves, like, does he have my attention? Like, because I don't know, I've always been one, even though I haven't really been big in like church and reading the Bible, and I'm just kind of starting like digging deeper into my faith. I think that whenever I get to hard times, I would always look to God and pray and ask for him to help me, and ask for his deliverance. And I think that's probably because I did grow up a little bit around the church, going to like communions and stuff like that, and I know that through prayer God does great things. Even right here I wrote this quote down, which is Job chapter 9 verse 10. It says, he performs wonders that cannot be fathomed, miracles that cannot be counted. So even like here, where Job has been going through all this pain, all these troubles, this misfortune, and he still says, he performs wonders that cannot be fathomed, miracles that cannot be counted. So he still knows how great God is. His heart has not changed. His spirit has not changed. And if anything, he's just gotten stronger, in his faith through this. Whereas Satan was like, no, I bet you the opposite, And so I think this just important to remember, like Job, like even though he's been stripped of everything, it's for the good of him, Also, it's like talked about how when you get stripped of all your like kind of like belongings, I guess you could say, you're like returning back to your purest form. And like Job says in is it chapter 1? Yeah, chapter 1. He says, naked I came from my mother's womb, and naked I will depart. The Lord gave, and the Lord has taken away. May the name of the Lord be praised. So he's stripping Job and taking him back to his purest form. And through this, Job's faith is just growing stronger. And so I think that's important to remember when, we let these materials in the flesh, the cars and the job and all that kind of stuff. We let that kind of be our identity sometimes, and we have to remember that that stuff isn't gonna go with us. We're gonna leave with none of that